fence line where the wild winds run, where the skies stretch wide and kiss the sun. The sagebrush whispers, the rivers hum. This land's a story just begun. Wyoming calls where the heart beats free. Mountains rise and dreams run deep. Past the borders, past the sign, there's a world alive beyond the fence line. Boots hit gravel and the prairie sings with every hoofbeat. The frontier rings from ranchers' hands to miners' veins. The spirit of the West remains. Wyoming calls where the heart beats free. Mountains rise and dreams run deep. Past the borders, past the sign, there's a world alive beyond the fence line. So come ride with me through the dust and time. Find the soul of Wyoming beyond the fence line, beyond the fence line. Beyond the fence line, beyond the fence
Welcome to Wyoming Beyond the Fence Line, where we step past the headlines and into the truth. This show isn't about left or right, it's about what's real in Wyoming, across the country, and around the world. No spin, no talking points, just facts, context, and honest conversation. If you're tired of being managed instead of informed, you're in the right place. Let's go beyond the fence line. And now, here is your host, Joseph Kibler, candidate for Wyoming governor in 2026. Welcome to Wyoming.
Hey, good morning, Wyoming. Happy Monday, February 16th. Hope you guys are doing well. Gonna kick off a little bit of a different show. Yeah, I know. You noticed my attire this morning. It's actually officially declared a farm work day around here since the weather's gonna be so great. After the show today, I'm going to get outside and get dirty and hang out with the family, and we're going to do some garden work and some barn work and everything in between. So, with that, today's show, kind of a little bit of a different show today. I want to teach you all how to navigate and use the Wyoming Legislature's website. I think this is really important for all of you as we go into this session. Well, actually, we're a weekend now, right? What a crazy week last week, right? For those of you that were watching, go back and watch those episodes. They're on all the channels if you guys want them. But yeah, so I'm going to just deep dive into the Wyoming Legislative website today, show you guys how to use it, so that you guys can then navigate what's going to go on for the next couple of weeks here at the Capitol in Cheyenne. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and share that screen. I'm going to move myself to the lower corner, and I'm going to share the website here. And we'll go nice and slow. If you guys have any questions as I'm going along, feel free to comment. Also, I have put the link to the legislature's website down in the comments, so hopefully you guys can see that. It's WYO leg, so like your leg, like a leg that you have. So WYOleg.gov. WYO leg, LEG.gov. So with that, let's take a look at the legislative website here, and I will walk you guys through this. So obviously, it's a budget session, so I will talk about the state finance tools here maybe a little bit later in the show, but let's talk about how to navigate. And by the way, you guys, there are a lot of great tools on the website that allow you to engage with your Wyoming legislature, that allow you to even testify at committee meetings. You can sign up for that. You can do that online. It's really cool. It's really useful. So here we go. So when you go to the legislative website, the first thing is if you want to really get involved in all of the legislative stuff, you want to go down here to the bottom. There's calendars, committees, legislation, and of course, you can find all of your legislators here. I'm not going to get into this because you guys can dive into legislators all by yourself. Find your senators, find your representatives, use the find your legislator right there. And then, of course, look at former members as well. So let's go over here to calendars. So this is one that I use an awful lot, especially when I've got to work and I'm at home. Maybe I'll listen to the session or participate in the session. But you go to the legislative meetings and you'll see here the calendar dates. Now, you only will see today's date until the end of the session today, because according to what happens today and what they get done today, that will then show up on tomorrow's calendar. So just to explain that to you really, really briefly. But this is a great place to start. So you can see here you have the Senate floor session, which starts at 10. The House floor session, which starts at 10. There's two options that you have here. You can go to details. This will tell you what is on their agenda for the day. All right, so they've got all of these things in the general file. By the way, it's now Monday. Friday at 6, I believe, was the deadline for any new bills to be, brought to the different floors of the House and the Senate. So there was probably about 100 bills that died in the drawer on Friday evening because they just did not get those to the floor. They had some other issues last week, as you guys know, that they had to deal with instead. So you're going to see some second readings here. You're going to see action on the government appropriations bills today, and then third readings. And then, of course, they're going to take a look at what's in the general file, going back and forth between the Senate and the House, things like that. That's going to happen in the House, too. Same thing. You'll see what their schedule is for the day. So they've got a lot of stuff now in the general file to take a look at. They've got some third readings, and of course, they're working on the general government appropriations number 2. Now, if you want to know what you're paying for in the budget, I am actually going to cover that on Thursday and Friday this week. So you guys will want to pay attention. That you guys will not believe all of the stuff we pay for. Actually, you probably will if you pay attention. We pay for everything, right, as taxpayers. So then the other option here is you can obviously watch the session with the video. So you can go there and you can watch the session. Another thing I want to mention on these details pages, guys, is you can actually watch them vote live on things. So normally there is a screen here that will show when you click on live roll call and display, and you can see how all of your representatives are actually voting. That's this little button right here where it says live roll call and display up here in the upper right hand corner. So click on that. That'll take you to a live voting tool where you can see how your representatives are actually voting during the session, and that's here on these two meetings at the top. Now, if you want to participate in committees or watch some of the committee meetings, you'll see that schedule down below. I encourage you to do this if you have time on issues that you are interested in paying attention to or watching. You'll also notice that you have an opportunity to testify here in the right-hand side. So if you want to testify on transparency in hospital service pricing, you could go ahead and testify there and speak to that issue at the committee meetings. You'll notice a bunch of these start at 8 a.m. A bunch of these committees also occurred during or upon noon recess, and you can follow those committees there just like that. So this is really helpful. And again, you won't see much on the schedule ongoing because what happens today affects the schedule for tomorrow. So now let's look at some of these other options down at the bottom. So you can see the session schedule. This will give you an idea of what their goal is. You'll notice the schedule is subject to change without notice. It's very, very tentative because they don't know what's going to happen in the session today. So you can see what's going on, and they're scheduled all the way up to it looks like Friday, March 6th. They've got some joint conference stuff going on. So they've got a whole bunch of stuff going on up into March. For the most part, the session should be ended around this time, around March 6th, unless they, for some reason, need to extend. They'll be doing that as well. So that's kind of what's on your calendars. Now you can look at the committees and task force commissions here. You can see what the committees are and what they mean and who's on them and what's going on with them and things like that. You can meet your representatives that are on those committees right there. The other thing here, and we can go down here to the bottom, is you can look at the legislation itself. So you can look at the session information. You can look at the different bills. You could search the bills. You could watch live video on those, things like that. By the way, you're really, really helpful. I will throw a link in the chat on the Wyoming Legislature's YouTube channel as well, so that you guys have that in the chat as well. So you can go to the Wyoming Legislature. I will post that right now in the chat so you know where to watch live if you just wanted to go that route, okay? Just so you guys know on that. So let me go ahead. I'm going to go back over here to the screen. Let me close some of these windows. So I am going to talk about how you can navigate the budget stuff here in just a second. But the session information is really interesting from a legislation standpoint. So let's say you wanted to look up everything related to elections. You could type the word in election here, and you can see the gobs and gobs and gobs of legislative bills. Some failed, some are in second reading, some have been introduced. Some did not get considered for introduction, right? They did not make it. They died on Friday. So you can pick a topic that matters to you, and you can type it in here, maybe property, Property, and you can see all of the property tax related ideas and bills and bureaucracy that's going on there in the legislature this session. So you can also look it up by bill number. This is a really great way to see what's made it, what hasn't made it, where is it being considered, how is it being considered. You can sort it by last action, let's say. So we can sort by last action and kind of see, okay, what's happened with some of these bills. Like, look at all these that did not make it. They did not get considered for introduction. Well, they did. They were on the docket, but they didn't make it out of the drawer because of some time constraints. So as you can see, all of those bills, a bunch of these failed. So you can see all of these that failed. So this is a really helpful tool. If there's legislation that's of interest to you, you want to go ahead and go to the bottom of the website, and you could go to the legislative session tab, the session information, and you can see every bill that's being considered or not being considered for that matter. And so I find that really helpful with things that I'm watching as a candidate for governor and things that I'm interested in. So that's really good. You can look at the committee bills here. You can search bills here. And of course, you could look at your legislators here. Now, it is a budget session, right? Everybody, fun, fun, fun. So let's talk about the budget session. We'll get up here to the top. You can go to State Finances tab. This is really where this is a great spot for you to go if you want to go ahead and understand what's going on with the budget, look at different things related to the budget. Obviously, there's other things you guys can look at here. There's the state statutes and constitution. You could take a look at those things there. There's publications and research. There's a citizens engagement tab, which is obviously where you can, different how to visit the Capitol Square, glossary of words and terms, understanding thing, back to school program, internship program. So there's some helpful stuff there. And then there's, of course, some media stuff there as well. So with that, we're going to actually focus, though, on the state finances because this is what we're doing this time around, right? It's about the budget session. And I'm going to start at the bottom and kind of work my way up here. So you've got data visualizations. This is a really, really great tool that allows you to visualize what's going on with the state budget and where the money is going and how it's going. And honestly, the tech department has done a great job on allowing citizens access to real-time data on what we're looking at doing with the budget this session. There's a lot of great interactive graphs and things like that where you can interact with this and kind of look at it. And each of these is interactive in some way, shape, or form. You can just look at federal funding. You can just look at other funds, look at how the general fund is working. So I could just select the general fund and see what's coming out of our general fund and stuff like that. So the data visualizations are really great. Again, some great revenues, school finance, local government, spending, policy models. And this allows you guys to visualize data across the state. So these interactive data visualizations are super helpful here at the top of the website. You can look at the data book and you can look at executive summaries or pocket guides and things like that. You can find all kinds of PDF documents. Again, if you have a lot of time on your hands, you can look through this stuff. And it's really, really great information for you guys to look at. You can view the budget hearings. As you can see, there are some things that happened previous, right? These are the interim committee meetings. So if you were interested in going back and looking at what the interim committee did, like the Joint Appropriations Committee primarily did prior to the session, you can take a look at all of these budget hearings that are available to you there. So that's really great. You can look at that stuff. School finances helps you understand. Again, it's a lot of documents, not super interactive like some of the other things are, but you could take a look at these different forms, different documents to understand the school funding model. And it looks like there is like a 3D model version that you can download of that and take a look at those graphs. So again, not super interactive on some of this stuff, but it does give you the information that you're looking for. The overall state budgeting, again, it's mostly in the form of a PDF so that you could go ahead and look at what's going on with the state budget, the budget process, the fiscal profile. Again, a lot of documents to look through. That's why I like the data visualizations tab, is it actually lets you visualize what the Wyoming legislature is doing, what the budget's doing, stuff like that. You can obviously deep dive into a tremendous amount of documents and paperwork and take a look at that. In fact, I heard a rumor, and I don't know if this is actually true, but I heard that the actual budget is 11 reams of paper. I don't know if any of you can confirm that, but I heard that it is actually 11 reams of paper. So that's a lot to go through. That's a lot to digest. That's a lot to think about. That's a lot to say, wow, how you have too much government when the budget is 11 reams of paper. And apparently it gets sorted for all the legislators by the LSO and by their support staff so that they can actually digest the 11 reams of paper. Now, again, if you know that's true or not, maybe you could post that below. That's just something that I heard kind of through the grapevine at the Capitol. And so I'd be curious. It wouldn't surprise me if that's actually true. So, and then of course you can look at this state revenues tab and take a look and see what's going on there and what some of those forecasts are as well. So with that, guys, that is kind of the nutshell version of using the Wyoming legislature's website. Again, I put in the comments the link to the Wyoming Legislature's website, as well as the link to their YouTube channels. But if you guys have any questions or you're stuck on any of this stuff, I'm more than happy to give you a hand. Like, hey, Joseph, where do I find this? Well, feel free to reach out to me and I can tell you, hey, this is where you find that information. This is where you look for that information. Because they really do. You know what? They have improved this over the years for more and more citizen participation. Again, I think the Wyoming Technical Department does a great job making this accessible to the people and making it understandable to the people. And this is a great tool, especially, you guys are like me. Like, so last week I was able to be at the legislative session a whole bunch. But like this week, I've got to get back to work. I've got to work. I've got to pay attention to obviously like providing for my family. And today, I'm taking care of the farm today. And I can't always sit and watch the legislative sessions. So you can use some of these tools so that you can catch up on the sessions, so that you can listen to the sessions. For me, a lot of times I'll listen to the session on my phone while I'm working, right? So I'm at least listening to what the House or what the Senate's doing with the budget. I'm at least having, getting the information into my head, if you will. So with that, that is how you navigate the Wyoming Legislature's website. What's coming up on the show this week? I am so glad you asked. Tomorrow, I'm going to be at an agricultural leadership conference at LCCC. So that's going to be really fun. I'm going to have about 30 minutes to talk about my vision for agriculture. But in the morning, I'm actually going to be talking about, my vision, my mission, how I would govern. Essentially, tomorrow morning is going to be that moment when I'm going to talk about, you elect Joseph as Wyoming governor. What kind of governor would Joseph be? I'm going to talk about that tomorrow. You guys should hopefully really enjoy that show. Hopefully you'll share it as well. On Wednesday, I'm going to take a little break from Wyoming because we were all legislature last week. I'm going to talk about world and U.S. news tomorrow, on Wednesday rather, and just kind of get us caught up. Like, what's going on in the world? The U.S. is moving a lot of its armed forces to the Middle East. I think we've got 2 carrier groups going that direction, or they're already there. There's a lot going on in the world. There's some good things coming out of Washington. There's some crazy things coming out of Washington. We're going to talk about that on Wednesday. And on Thursday and Friday, I'm going to do a special 2-part series. Is You're Paying for What? So Thursday and Friday shows, I'm actually going to go through Wyoming budget items. And you guys are it's going to blow your mind what we pay for. It probably isn't going to surprise you at all. What we actually pay for as taxpayers in Wyoming, as taxpayers in the United States. So Thursday and Friday, I'm actually going to pull hundreds of items out of the budget. And we're not going to be able to talk about hundreds of items, but I'm going to talk about the things that you and I find. And those things could be repealed. Those things could be put into the private market. Let the free market, the private market, let Main Street handle those things instead of government handling those things. You will see that, government, when we look at the budget and what we spend money on, government has its tentacles in absolutely every aspect of everything we do. And so I'm going to talk about that on Thursday and Friday's show. That'll be a lot of fun as well. So with that, we're going to wrap this show up. We've got a new outro to play from a wonderful person who's a part of our campaign. He makes all of our intros and outros, our radio spots and stuff like that. So I'm going to play an outro. And then today, what am I going to play music-wise? I think I'm going to play, how about, we'll start the Monday off with Wyoming Wind. So with that, you guys have a blessed, beautiful week. God bless you. I'm going to get outside, get some work done, and I'll see you guys tomorrow, same time. Don't forget, all of these episodes are available on all the channels after we record them. So if you miss an episode, you can always go back and listen to that episode again. With that, take care. God bless. We'll talk to you later.
That's today's episode of Wyoming Beyond the Fence Line with Joseph Kibler, candidate for Wyoming Governor in 2026. If this mattered to you, share it, stay engaged, and keep asking hard questions. Be something different. Visit Joseph4wy.com for more information.
That welcome sign on I-25, paint chips still standing proud. Ranch hands lean on rustic gates, reading weather in the clouds. Antelope on the edges, coal dust on our jeans. Oryx blanket on the rim like a string of prairie dreams. Wyoming wind, you shove those semis sideways on the line, make a 20-foot wall of white in a single night. Drag those tumbleweeds till they're stacked up tight on the old barbed wire. Carry smoke from a branding fire. You steal my hat, you sting my skin, but I was raised by that Wyoming wind. Red dirt stuck in busted boots, pickup rattling down 14. Feedlot steam in the dim sunrise, snow geese cutting clean. L tracks in the timber, sagebrush oceans roll. We pull our hoods tight at the pump, the gust cuts through the soul. You push our trash clear to Nebraska, strip a billboard to the nails, slam a screen door off its hinges, shake the grain out of the rails. You whistle through those coal cars, howl across the powder rim. Every fence line, every windburn grin, got carved by you again. Wyoming wind, you shove those semis sideways on the line, make it 20-foot wall of white in a single night. Drag those tumbleweeds till they're stacked up tight on the old barbed wire. Carry smoke from a branding fire. You steal my hat, you sting my skin, but I was raised by that Wyoming wind. Red dirt stuck in busted boots, pickup rattling around 14. Feedlot steam in the dim sunrise, snow geese cutting clean. Elk tracks in the timber, sagebrush oceans roll. We pull our hoods tight at the pump, the gust cuts through